Hi, this is Lou, welcome to my channel, and today we're going to be painting a watercolour painting with a geometric pattern of interlocking circles. So I painted a version of this the other day and I posted it up on Instagram, and a few of you asked for a tutorial on how to do this, so I thought, yeah, I can do that, so here we are. So I'm painting on Archer's cold pressed watercolour paper. This one happens to be 18 by 26 centimetres, but you can make this work for whatever size paper you've got or whatever it is you're painting on. I have got my watercolour paints, so I'm using Alizarin Crimson, Quniacridone Gold. This is Perylene Green, that's a Daniel Smith colour, the rest are Windsor and Newton, and then this is Indigo. You don't need to use these exact colours, I just picked some that I fancied. And then I'm going to use some gold, so I'm going to, if you see the original, the one I made here, I outlined the whole thing with gold. So these are the gold paints that I've got. So this palette is by Gerstaeker, and I'm going to use the blue gold. I'm going to start by drawing a framework, and for that I'm going to use a ruler, and I have a pair of compasses, a pencil, and then to do the painting I've been using this Raphael Precision brush in size 8. Really like it, comes to a lovely fine point, and yeah, so it allows you to kind of cover fairly large areas, but also the little point gets into all of the little corners, which is great. And then to paint the gold I have this little brush by Gerstaeker. It's a number 2, size 2, and it's, I don't know what they called it. I can't remember if they called it a liner brush or a detail brush, something like that. But I'll put a link to that down below anyway. I've also got a little pot of water and I have a tissue here. So I've moved the paints to one side for a second, and I'm just going to mark out the area of the paper that I'm going to paint. So what I need is, I'm going to need like to be able to draw 1.5 circles across here. So really I'm deciding like how big my circles are going to be. So if I make them 10 wide, so 5 radius, 10 diameter, that gives me 15 across, which gives me 3 centimetres left on the edge of the paper. So if I mark 1.5 centimetres in on either side, that'll be nicely centred. So we need to do the same vertically, and I'm just working, I need multiples of 5 really, so however many multiples of 5 fit on your page. So let's see, we can get to 25, so I could do 1.5, but that would only leave me 0.5 centimetre at the bottom of at each side of the page, which isn't really enough, so I'll go for 20 instead. So the page is 26 centimetres, so I need 3 at the top and 3 at the bottom. And of course you can do this with whatever size circles you like. Now I've marked the lines a little darker than I normally would, because just so you can see them on the camera. And then I want to set this so it's 5 centimetres. So this one's got a little wheel which allows me to get it nice and precise. And that looks good to me. And then I just need to start in a corner. Start in this corner and mark the corner of a circle there, and then I can start in this corner and mark that corner there as well. Now if I put my point right where that line joins there, let's bring that down a bit, you should find that it matches up with the edge of the first circle, like that. So a half circle there. And similarly, if I put the point there, that should line up nicely with the corner and with the edge of that circle. Now I just need to keep going down the page and adding these circles. So I can put my point here where the edge of the circle crosses the line. The pencil's on the corner. I can draw a half circle there. And I can do the same on the other side as well. There we go. Now the next ones, the point of the circle wants to be where these two lines cross here. And the pencil should meet at the top. It should meet that circle there, and it should go to the side. Then the next one is here. Like that. And now I just need to keep repeating that pattern all the way down the page. I'm going to start by doing the 4 corners here, so these kind of petal shapes here. That means that I can avoid the colours running into the other bits. So I'm essentially painting every other section. And I'm going to paint these with fairly dramatic colours, I think. So let's start with some indigo in this corner, and I can use the corner of that point of the brush to get right into the corner there and this corner here. And I'm following my pencil line fairly closely. It doesn't matter if you wobble a little bit because you're going to be covering that up with some gold or whatever colour you fancy. If you wanted to do this with some white gouache or something like that. Now I'm going to turn the pad a little bit just to get into that corner there. Make that nice and neat. So that's one corner. So I'm going to clean my brush and go into the next colour. And that's that lovely green. And I'm going to paint this one here. And again, using the point of my brush just to get those corners nice and sharp. And then you'll notice I haven't joined them here, but I do want to. And I'm going to just join them together and allow the colours to blend from one section to the next. So let's do the same with this section here. And I'm going to do this with the gold. Okay, I'm going to paint that in quite nicely, and then I'm just going to touch the two ends together and allow them to bleed and blend however they want to. For this last one here, I'm going back to the green, and I'm going to paint this half in green. Went a little far there on the corner, so I'm just going to take my paper towel and just blot that very edge up. Try and tidy it up again. But again, I can go over with the gold and tidy it up a little bit later. So I'm not too worried. And I'm going to just change my colour in between halfway through this section. I'm just going to add a little bit of the gold into this bit just so that it's a bit lighter and brighter on this side. There's a lot of green in there, so it's gonna be quite powerful, but it's just a little bit more yellow on that side. Now I'm going to do this one. I haven't used the crimson yet, so let's do that. And then some yellow in here. Yellow, gold. It's more gold than yellow. And again, I'm just going to touch the crimson and allow those colours to blend. a green here. And again, just going to touch them together on that corner and see what happens to them. And then back to the gold, I think. And I could maybe just do with dotting in a little bit of the green there, just to make it a little bit different from the one next to it. But I'm quite happy just to let that bleed and see what happens. So you can see some of my edges are a little bit messy, but again, I'll be going over those with the gold, so I'm not too concerned about them. I'm going to continue this pattern all the way down the page. Yeah, I'm going to speed up the camera now so the video is not 3 hours long. But yeah, I'm just going to keep going, and I'm just doing exactly the same thing over and over. So now I've done the whole page. The thing I need to do now is to wait for it all to dry completely, and then I'm going to go in and fill in all of the bits in between. But I'm going to leave this now, going to have a cup of tea, wait for it to dry, and then I'll come back to it in a bit. So now this is all dry, and at this point I can take away my pencil lines if I want to, or I can leave them to the end, it doesn't really matter, one or the other. So now is phase 2, and this is a bit like a 3-step process. So we've done the first step. Now the second step is to fill in all of these bits in the middle, and then the third step will be to add the gold. So I'm going to use exactly the same colours. The only difference now is I'm going to add a little bit more water into them, just to make a little bit of a difference in the values in the painting. So there's some lighter areas and darker areas. So I'm just going to fill in all of these bits in the middle, and you can find that it's actually a little bit easier to do these ones. You don't have to be quite so precise and careful. A little bit more colour in there, something like that. And then let's do this one. Now I went over this one a little bit too much, so I'm just going to take away some of that. And then the fine point on this brush is great for getting into those little kind of these little pointy bits. And if I feel like I've got too much paint in any area, I can clean my brush, dry it off, and dab up a little bit of the colour. And if you put a little bit on and you think actually that's a bit too bright, you can wash your brush, scrape the excess off, and then use just that damp brush to spread the rest out. And with this I can do exactly the same thing as I did before. I can take bits of one colour and dab bits of another colour into it, just to give it a bit of interest. So again, I'm going to keep going with that, doing exactly the same thing, working all the way down the page. Okay, so that's part 2 done. So now again, I'm just going to wait for that all to dry completely, and then I will go in with gold. So I'm using this blue gold from the set here, and you add a little bit of water into it, and it kind of, yeah, it kind of makes the paint nice and creamy. And I'm using a really fine brush. So now I just want to outline the areas that I drew in. So I'm going over all of the joins in my watercolour painting. I'm basically tracing over the pencil lines that I put in previously. Try and be nice and smooth with the gold paint. And then I can do the other side of that shape. Just trying to cover it all in like one nice continuous line. And then let's do the other way. So I'm going to put my hand here and drag back up this way. And the gold really does cover over any of those raggy edges. Now if you don't have gold paint, you could use a marker pen for this, so you could get yourself a gold marker pen or any kind of pen. A white one would look good, something like that. And just go around and you're tidying up all the edges and then just adding that little bit of a highlight as well. So I'm going to keep going, finish the rest of the page. So here is the finished painting. I really hope that you've enjoyed watching this, and if you give it a go, I'd love to see your version of it. You can post your work to Instagram and tag me at Lou Rachel Davis, and I love seeing what you've shared with me, and I love it when you have a go at projects that I've put up here. So thank you very much. I want to let you know that I've got a couple of live streams coming up. This is a bit of an experiment for me. I'm doing my first one this Saturday at 7:30. It's going to be a line and wash painting. I've put a reference image on my website and there'll be a link to that down below if you want to paint along. So I've got a couple of other live streams coming up next week, which are part of an exhibition that I'm involved in Edinburgh. That's going to be something quite different for this channel, so I hope that you'll enjoy watching it. It's still art with gold involved. So I've got a sketchbook demo that I'm doing where I talk you through my abstract sketchbooks that I keep. And then I've got an artist's talk, which is about all of the prints in the exhibition that I've got. So they're coming up next week, and the details for that will be in the description box as well. So thanks very much for watching today. I really hope that you've enjoyed this, and I look forward to seeing you again very, very soon. Bye bye.